What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 1. Sleeper picks.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for this week's NFL slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, let's jump right in. Take a look at a sleeper pick at the quarterback position. I like Justin Herbert from the LA Chargers playing the Las Vegas Raiders, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing quarterbacks. Now, Justin Herbert, he averaged 19.3 fantasy points per game on the season last year. I like this pick because he gets an average of 4 rush attempts per game, and he's only going to be about 2% owned. He's projected at 17 fantasy points here this week, and he's only $5,800 DraftKings salary. And Vegas thinks there's going to be 40 points scored in this game, with the Chargers favored by 3. Now, most of these games this week do look like they're low-scoring games, so could be a case of just the first week jitters. You know, we don't know exactly what we're going to get from these teams, so I think the point projections for most of these games is a bit low. But Justin Herbert, we know he's a capable quarterback. Now, he's lost a lot of weapons around him, so it's a kind of a question mark to how he's going to perform in here in week 1. But at $5,800 DraftKings salary and only 2% ownership here, if he can put up 20 plus fantasy points, this would be a fantastic game. And with those rush attempts, he certainly could run into the end zone and score a touchdown. So I like Justin Herbert here versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. It was hard to find a sleeper pick here at the running back position. A lot of the players that I wanted to pick as a sleeper pick, they were sharing the carries and they were, extra risky. I guess that's what you get in a sleeper pick. But what I did here is I found a guy who, even though he's well known and he's got his price tag is up there, one of the most expensive running backs on the slate, I think he's going under-owned here in week 1. I think he could put up a monster week 1. So I like Travis Etienne from the Jacksonville Jaguars playing the Miami Dolphins, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, and they're middle-of-the-pack defending opposing running backs. Now, Travis Etienne averaged 17 fantasy points per game on the season last year, getting an average of 15.7 rush attempts per game and 4.3 pass targets per game. So averaged over 20 touches per game on the season, or exactly 20 touches per game last year. And he's only going to be about 6% owned. So that ownership just looks pretty low to me. Maybe people don't like his price tag, or the matchup is not, perfect. But he does put up numbers fantasy-wise, and he's projected at 15.1 fantasy points here this week. He's $7,200 DraftKings salary. Now, what I like about this pick is Vegas thinks there's going to be 49 points scored in this game. It's the highest point projected game on the slate, and they've got the Jacksonville Jaguars favored by 3.5. So relatively close game here. So despite not having a perfect matchup, and he's going to get plenty of opportunity, he could come away with 2+ touchdowns in this game. 100 yards and 2 touchdowns would be pretty good for Travis Etienne here versus the Miami Dolphins. Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet. that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. So in yesterday's pick, I gave you Jacoby Myers. He's only going to be about 2% owned. So I'll just reiterate him real quick. He's got a fantastic matchup here versus the LA Chargers. And he's only 5,000 DraftKings salary, averaged 13.7 fantasy points per game on the season last year, getting an average of 6.6 pass targets per game. So we don't know how he's going to perform over there in Las Vegas Raiders, but he's got a good matchup, low price tag, and low ownership. So I did like him as a sleeper pick, but I'll give you another sleeper pick here at the wide receiver position. If I can find him, there he is. Calvin Ridley from the Tennessee Titans playing the Chicago Bears, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, middle-of-the-pack defending opposing wide receivers. Calvin Ridley averaged 14.2 fantasy points per game on the season last year, averaging 8 pass targets per game, on the field for 85% of the snaps, only going to be about 6% owned, projected at 11.8 fantasy points here in week 1. He's 5,800 DraftKings salary, and Vegas thinks there's going to be 44.5 points scored in this game, with the Tennessee Titans trailing by 4. So if the Chicago Bears, maybe they get up by a touchdown, put some pressure on the Tennessee Titans to pass the ball. You got Calvin Ridley coming off of his last 3 games. He scored 26, 8, and 26 fantasy points off of 10, 8, and 9 pass targets. So lots of volume, lots of production. So I like Calvin Ridley as a sleeper pick here versus the Chicago Bears. Okay, moving on to the tight end position. I like Noah Fant from the Seattle Seahawks playing the Denver Broncos, who have the 3rd worst defense overall, and they give up the absolute most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Now, Noah Fant, he's averaged, last year didn't have a good season, only averaged 4.3 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 2.5 pass targets per game, only going to be about 3% owned. He's 4,000 DraftKings salary, projected at 7.2 fantasy points here in week 1. I like this pick because the other tight end's injured, so Noah Fant should be the number 1 tight end, and he should be on the field for the majority of the snaps. Vegas thinks there's going to be 41.5 points scored in this game, with the Seahawks favored by 6. But you got a fantastic matchup, low price tag, low ownership, and an injury that might help out his target count here today. So I like Noah Fant as a sleeper pick here versus the Denver Broncos.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video, or just go to DraftDashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NFL slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.